Hello students. In this video we will spend some time talking about Chapter 1, Globalization. So, what do you think when you first hear the term globalization? Positive or negative? Does it refer to economic growth or is it more economically exploitive? There are two good articles, one by Reich, Who is Us, this one, in which he discusses two corporations. Corporation A, it's just at the beginning of this article, right there. Corporation A is headquartered in New York with top managers and directors being U.S. citizens. Majority of shares are held by American investors, but most of the employees are non-Americans, with most of its research and development, product design, and manufacturing occurring outside of the borders of the U.S. Corporation B, on the other hand, is the opposite. Headquarters, managers, directors, investors are stationed in a foreign market, but most of its research and development, product design, and manufacturing occurs in the U.S. The question is, and this is a question that plagues lots of economic theorists, especially in global business practices, but which company or which corporation is a U.S. company and which one is a foreign company? Is a corporation A, where it looks like, or it's actually headquartered in the country, in New York City, managers, directors, investors are all U.S. citizens, but the work is happening elsewhere? Or is a corporation B where they don't have a headquarter in the U.S.? Managers, directors are elsewhere, but the workforce is here. So which corporation is a U.S. company? Which is more important to the economic future of the U.S.? If a boycott were to be held against the non-American company, which one would be boycotted? When we come across and this happens in a lot of countries where the slogan "Buy U.S." or "Buy Canada," "Buy Australia," wherever you're living, that seems to be a political and local business demand where they want consumers to buy from the local company. Well, Corporation A or Corporation B, which is the local company? Even though this article was written 30 years ago, it asks very important and relevant questions for us today. The article states that manufacturing is the most important factor, as it helps to ensure a healthy and strong employment economy. The second article, Globalization of Markets by Levitt, actually was written in 1983, so almost 40 years ago. And at that time, it was quite controversial. And if you look at this article, find Theodore Levitt, Globalization of Markets online, there's still lots of discussion about the merits of this article. The article states that, let's see here, Levitt suggests that companies should produce universal goods and services instead of accounting for national differences. This article, as I said, caused a tremendous impact, and his findings and theories are still being studied today. This chapter introduces some benefits and costs of globalization. So the question is, what are some of the costs and benefits of globalization? So we have this example here, opening case in the textbook, the globalization of production at Boeing. Why would Boeing outsource their production? They seem to be a strong, healthy company, a company doing well. There's a couple reasons. They can do that in order to decrease competition, in terms of decrease the desire, need, or option for new rivals to enter the market, especially if this company is getting other companies in other countries involved in the production process. Another reason is that they can utilize the manufacturing and design expertise throughout the world. One big reason to do this is that they are in essence creating potential sales and potential customers. Countries are probably more willing to buy from Boeing if there's a sense of pride knowing that some of their companies were involved in the manufacturing or design of that product. So there's some reasons why companies may outsource. Is it I think this became quite clear in the last 6 months with COVID-19. Every nation and every economy was affected by actions and decisions of other countries. So really great example of how the world is becoming more interdependent. The world is a smaller place. You've probably heard that a few times. Global transportation that in the past would have taken weeks now takes hours. Giving and receiving information and news happens throughout the world in real time. It does not take days or weeks to hear about what happens in other parts of the country or other parts of the world anymore. How many of us actually watch the news on TV? Most likely very few, because by the time the news is on, even if it's within the same day, it is already old news. And we have heard it and perhaps followed it on social media. Really good example of this is the Anti-Globalization protest video that I have included in the Chapter 1 material. So take a few minutes to watch that protest video. And this is something that will be discussed later on as well. It becomes a very important decision for businesses that decide to venture into foreign markets. Do they specialize and adapt their product to fit local preferences and tastes, or do they save money and offer the same identical product to foreign markets? That becomes a very crucial question later on in this course. Let's go to this slide. Globalization has several different facets, including markets, production, and consumers. Globalization of markets. There's another video I placed on Blackboard, transportation process and costs. Tremendous video in terms of understanding how inexpensive it is to ship and transport products around the world. In the past it was quite expensive. Now, because of transportation processes and compartmentalization, it's really inexpensive to do so. Look at Amazon as an example of transporting products very quickly throughout the country. Globalization of production. So these last three, globalization of markets, production, then the next one, globalization of customers, comes up on multiple choice part of the exams. Globalization of production. This one is a rather interesting one. The decision is, important decision for companies is where to outsource. If you have global consumers, it does make sense to move some of your production processes closer to your consumers. At the beginning of Donald Trump's presidency in 2016, he enacted a guideline or a law that made economic sense. The problem at that time with U.S. companies is that they were outsourcing, that they're actually moving to foreign markets where it was cheaper. They could perhaps evade taxes, not pay as many taxes. So what Trump did was he stipulated that if American companies were leaving U.S. soil and establishing manufacturing in those foreign markets in order to reduce costs and pay less taxes, but then they were selling that product back to the U.S. consumer, the company would be viewed as a U.S. company and would be required to pay taxes as if they were producing on U.S. soil. So I'm going to do some more digging on that. I just want to find current sources on that to see how well that has kind of stood the test of time. So globalization of customers. Last slide for this. Good video I have on Blackboard is Netflix's plan for domination. This is similar to Theodore Levitt's article in terms of asking the question, should companies sell identical, similar product the world over, or should they specialize? So that is a really quick overview of Chapter 1. As I said, if you have any other questions, let me know.